Welcome to the cold open portion of Product Fridays, where we say something funny or lovable before we go to our theme music. Andrew
I have a
McGill,
funny or lovable thing. I have a
please,
funny or lovable
please
thing.
go.
I have a product to debut because I know sometimes people get us a little confused in these videos because both our names are Andrew. So
True.
I got this cool shirt from Canada.
Oh,
Oh yeah. Can you
nice.
see that?
Yeah, we could see it.
Pretty good. Says
Good.
my
So,
name, so everyone knows it's me, Andrew McGill. Hi.
welcome to Product Fridays. I'm Andrew, joined as ever by my co-host Andrew. Hi, Andrew.
Hi,
What
Andrew.
what do you have for us today?
What do we have today? Well, would you like to play a game? That's like a quote, right?
I would,
Um,
weirdo.
I think we should play a game today. It's called This or That, and it might sound familiar because it's actually a game that you and I do with clients sometimes, but it's a little simpler this time. All I want to do is pose two products to each other. And they'll be kind of semi-related. You'll see in a minute. And I want us to spend no more than 4 minutes on each one, debate them. Each of us pick which one of the two we like better. And, if that falls apart, it's all good. But mostly I just want to hear the spicy debate. Does that sound fun?
I really like this. I think we should have strict time limits.
Okay.
4 minutes per topic. Do you think that's too intense? So it's
No,
effectively
let's
two
try it.
minutes
Let's do
per
it.
person. We're going to try to let each other talk, but there may be some interplay depending on how things go. So I'm going to start a
Okay.
timer here. I've shared a timer with you so that you can see the same thing I'm seeing.
All right. First
Go
matchup.
ahead.
Are you ready?
Yes, yes.
Okay. I will give you the first matchup, Andrew. The first matchup is Apple Maps versus Google Maps. Go.
Okay. All right. Okay. Short version, Google Maps. Long version, I have always been Apple Maps curious. As we all know, back 2012, Apple Maps came out. They decided they wanted to build their own mapping infrastructure, and it was terrible and widely ridiculed, and basically nobody used it. And then they kept making the data better and they kept making the user experience better. And in 2018, I moved to California and I was like, you know what? I live in the home state of the developers of this application. So maybe like there's more attention to quality control and I'll give it another shot. So I used it for a year and it was mostly much better. And I learned that the user experience of Apple, like the quality of the voice navigation, the sort of like, there's like a more natural, Apple Maps will say like, turn left after the stop sign, which is a much more natural way of providing turn-by-turn directions. It's more human-like. The maps are prettier, the colors are nicer, it integrates better with my CarPlay and my whole ecosystem. But then when I moved back to the East Coast again, after I had lived in California, I ran into all the same problems with the data. Not like it had been before, but I really think that when you are doing mapping in the car, it absolutely 100% of the time has to be rock solid. And if you get burned two or three times by bad directions, I mean, no one's going back. I'm not going back. So I use Google Maps, even though I don't think it's as usable or as pretty as as Apple Maps. Go.
Okay. I'm going to go. I am Apple Maps all the way for one simple reason. It makes my watch buzz. That's kind of it. I am totally reliant on Apple Maps, especially when I'm biking. Like sometimes I'll clip the phone into the little handlebar mount I have, but most of the time I'm too busy taking a look at the world. And I love getting the little buzz on my wrist to
It
tell
is
me to turn
nice.
left or right. And I don't think Google has that. And maybe they've rolled things out. The integration is just so good. And I have just not seen in my little universe the same issues with the map quality. That feels like a 2016 problem for me. I will say my wife is a 100% Google Maps user.
Mm.
And whenever I make any mistake on the road at all regarding navigation, she will say, well, it's because you're using Apple Maps.
Yeah.
That's why. I wish you would turn on Google
Like that
Maps.
time you turned and drove off a bridge into the Potomac and
Yeah,
she was all
yeah,
mad
that
at
boy,
you.
that was a big bill, let me
Yeah.
tell you.
Yeah. Should have used Google
No,
Maps.
and I do think that Google has a lot going for it. It's funny. I almost view Google as like my down and dirty map app when I really need to like get a precise direction.
Uh-huh.
I kind of blame that on maybe I think they bought Waze at some point.
Hmm.
Waze, by the way, famous for sending you like across 5 lanes of traffic just to get you the quickest route. So maybe that's where I fall. I'm an Apple Maps guy for my day to day because its interface is just so great and its integration is perfect. But if I need to do some semi-illegal driving, I will flip over to Google Maps and just get the job done.
Okay, so Google Maps one, Apple Maps one. Okay, next one. You ready for this?
I'm ready.
I'll let you go first. ChatGPT versus Claude.
Oh, the eternal debate. Okay. This one is really hard because I pay for both of these clown services currently. I'm shelling out 20 bucks per, so 40 total to subscribe to both of them. I think if I had to pick, I would pick ChatGPT. Uh, the whole reason I have Claude, because ChatGPT is the default choice, it just is. The whole reason I have Claude is for two things. One is historical. They had a much better project interface
Hmm.
a bunch of months ago. And they also had the first kind of Canvas interface where you could ask it to make a little website and it would just like render it in front of you. ChatGPT didn't have those for a while. It does have it now. Um, so that reason, I guess, is by the wayside. The other reason that I still pay for Claude is this kind of amorphous feeling that has been written about in the New York Times, so I know it's valid, which is that Claude is just a little bit better at being honest with you. Like ChatGPT, in my experience, is like the perfect improv partner. It always is saying yes, and
Yeah.
it's like, yes, you want to eat some glue, and maybe you should try not and go to the hospital after. Uh, Claude will just say, I don't think you should eat glue. Here are some reasons why. Let's have a deeper conversation. And I do feel like it still has that edge over ChatGPT. It's just a little bit less of a quick to please guy. Uh, so I'm wishy-washy here. I'm gonna split it right down the middle. I use ChatGPT way more, but I kind of still want to pay for Claude.
Yes. ChatGPT has that reputation, doesn't it? Of like the sycophantic, the obsequious butler that's like, yes, sir, anything, sir. You're amazing. You're beautiful, sir. Okay. For me, it is ChatGPT, but as before, not straightforward. So I also pay for both. And I will say that the ChatGPT free tier has gotten to the point that I'm seeing diminishing reason to pay 20 bucks a month for it. Whereas I feel that the usage limits for Claude are actually much lower, and I hit that please pay us paywall pretty quickly. Now that could be because I tended, at least I used to prefer Claude for coding, vibe coding, because I think once upon a time you probably told me this, Claude was better at that, and now ChatGPT has caught up. But I think when you're doing coding and there's lots of like context and tokens and whatever being used, you tend to hit those limits faster. Um, you know, in my case, even though they're both great products and have pros and cons, I'm locked into that OpenAI ecosystem because ChatGPT knows me. I mean, it has built an entire profile of me and where I live and what problems I'm trying to solve and what matters to me. And that is deeply useful when I'm asking it questions and it's kind of looking up context that would seem to be unrelated, but is actually helpful. And so when I go to use Claude, which has very little of that history, I'm worried that I won't get the best possible response. Having said
Mhm.
that,
It's almost like that Gmail lock-in, right? Like
yes,
Gmail's got gigabytes of your old emails, so you're not going to switch to, Yahoo or whatever's out there.
yeah, the Atlantic just wrote this piece about the era of AI lock-in, the way you used to be locked in or still locked into Google phones or Apple phones. You know, in a world where OpenAI is building social networks and hardware and building a model of you, it's going to be too hard to switch. So that sort of applies to me. But as far as the way both companies approach their work, Anthropic is definitely a more safety forward company, which is probably why it's a little bit more skeptical when you say you want to eat glue. And that does matter to me as a human being who wants AI to be a force for good. So I'm curious how we would answer these questions a year from now, but I see we're out of time. So let's move to the next one.
Okay, and big headline, of course, is neither of us are using Gemini. Not even worth talking about.
Yeah.
Moving on, we are now going to discuss one that's close to our hearts. All we talk about is gaming and AI. The Nintendo Switch versus Valve's Steam Deck. Andrew.
Okay. Switch versus Steam Deck. So another tricky one. You're really good at these matchups, Andrew. Okay. The great innovation of the Switch was that you could take a console quality game with you on the road, stick it in your backpack, and play it anywhere. And then, of course, the Steam Deck did the same thing, but for a far bigger library of games that are far more powerful and capable than what you think of when you think of the Switch. And maybe it's just like the era of my life that I'm in, but I just tend to be playing more PC games. By the way, I also have a gaming PC that is suitable for these games. So I buy more PC games to play on that PC. That's probably not true for a lot of people. What complicates all of this is the Switch 2, because now the Switch 2 is building this enormous library of third party games like the Cyberpunk 2077s of the world that you used to need a PC with ray tracing to be able to play. And now you can play it on a Switch 2. So the hardware is beefier, the library is bigger, and the end-to-end integration, the ecosystem is just probably a little smoother in software. It's got the built-in chat and you're not dealing with, drivers and Windows updates and the kind of thing you're dealing with on
.dll files? No, thank you.
yeah. Having said that, the Switch 2 is not out, and I still want that flexibility and the ability to play those bigger games. And so I'm still going to go with Steam Deck.
Okay. I am going to go the opposite direction. I am Nintendo Switch all the way. And I'm
Hmm.
not going to use the little fig leaf of, oh, I'm Nintendo Switch 2. No, man, I'm Switch 1. I don't care
Hmm.
if it's powerful or not. And I'll tell you why. It's because the Steam Deck to me falls into the classic trap that I've always had with gaming PCs, which is when they first come out, they're like impossibly expensive. Like I can never imagine spending whatever it was, like pretty expensive chunk of change to get a Steam Deck. I could never imagine spending that much to be able to play the latest and greatest in PC gaming. And by the time that it becomes affordable because of depreciation a few years later, well, all the reviews are like, the Steam Deck can't pull its weight anymore with the latest games. You need to have giga tracing now, and you can barely get 45 frames per second on the Steam Deck with modern games. I just hate that treadmill of needing to always have the best equipment to play the best version of the best games, which was why I'm okay locking into consoles and accepting limitations, accepting a lower graphical fidelity, whatever, just so I know the game will run well and I don't have to make any hardware decisions and I don't have like a fear of missing out over all the features that I don't have because my NVIDIA card is too underpowered. So I would rather actually play a Nintendo Switch game
Hmm.
that's low poly or something, but is designed for the console than I would play an amazingly detailed version of like Baldur's Gate 3, but I have to like crank all the settings down or things like that to make it run on the particular platform I have here. This is why ultimately I am a PlayStation gamer over a PC gamer, and why I have no plans to buy a gaming PC ever.
Yeah. If a game is made for the Switch, it's going to run on a Switch. Like, no, I don't think Mario Kart has ever crashed once in the history of gaming.
And I've
Uh,
never had to download like a day one patch
yeah.
Mario Kart.dll-zip.
Yes, you clearly understand the world of gaming PCs. Okay, we're doing great on our time, by the way.
Good.
We are on to the final matchup. It's a little nerdy, but this is a product show. So we're going to do Jira versus Notion. Okay?
Wow.
And I'm
Okay.
gonna
And
let you
I'm
go
going
first. I'm gonna
first.
start the timer. Go ahead.
Okay. Jira versus Notion. Wow. I mean, I don't know how many product managers would feel the same way, or former or current or future product managers. When I hear the words Jira, like my body clenches up in like a rigor mortis type feeling.
Oh yeah.
And it's because for me, it's associated with this gigantic dashboard whose sole purpose is to make me take 15 steps to fill out a ticket, which is not something I want to do anyway. And then it's going to make me go through a million drop downs to make sure that ticket is filed correctly. And then maybe if I'm lucky, I will coax it to make a little line chart of how the devs aren't moving quickly enough on my tickets. And it's hard for me to separate Jira, the product, from the experience of being a product manager using Jira in like an agile but sort of waterfall world. And the tough thing is that Notion doesn't solve that either. If you're writing tickets, you can do them in Notion. They have Kanban boards, they got all that stuff. And I really enjoy Notion as a product. I've said it, believe it, love it, always will say that. But to me, there's something about the ticket writing process that's broken. And I know there's new philosophies out there about how we should be filling out software work. That kind of poisons the well for me on both of this. So if I had to pick between Jira and Notion to accomplish project management, I guess I would still choose Notion because it's just a little bit more purpose built. But I think I just have problems with project management in 2025, period.
Yeah, poor Jira. Seems like nobody likes it and everybody uses it and everybody wonders why they use it. And even the people who pay the site licenses are like, are we sure we want to do this? Yep, got to do it. It's the law of product management. And you're making a good point, which is it may be that the mechanics of managing backlogs and writing tickets is just the less sexy part of the job. And it just so happens that we do that in Jira. Having said that, Jira is a kitchen sink product that is designed for every possible use case for every possible software organization. We've talked before about opinionated products that do one thing their own way and do it well. Jira, of course, purpose built, it's designed for this task, but it has really no opinion because it's infinitely flexible. I mean, it has its own programming language, JQL. It's like a version of SQL that you have to learn to use this app. Notion, not purpose built for software development per se. You could argue that it's sort of information and task management broadly, but obviously a fun modern interface that just sheds a lot of the baggage of Jira, but also has a lot of limitations too. You know, it's funny, we love opinionated products until our specific use case or feature isn't there, and then we look to those kitchen sink apps. So tough one. I'm going to go with Notion, even though I'm not the Notion fanboy you are, because I think that the dread of project management needs help. And by the way, I'm pretty sure like AI will solve this problem. We all write tickets and manage backlogs because we understand the value of it. Otherwise, we wouldn't do it. But it's not fun to do. So there's got to be a way to like track dev time and write stories that matter and all that an LLM can help us do. And I'm sure they're already working
You
on
have
it.
a good point there, Andrew. We talked last week about how there's AI agents and services like V0 and Bolt, et cetera, are an abstraction layer on coding. What I really want is an abstraction layer on my project management. Can we get that now,
Yeah. Yeah.
please?
Yeah. Abstract the pain away, baby. Well, that's it for our this or that's. I think we did a pretty good job, and maybe we'll
It's
do this
fun.
again. It was fun.
So, Andrew, I just want to say if you like what you're listening to and you want more of it, then please go to productfridays.com, like and subscribe, and do let us know what topics you would be most interested in hearing us discuss. Andrew, where should people get in touch with us?
Well, they can leave a comment on our Substack, or they can email us at hello@productfridays.com. And if you send us something smart or funny, we might read it on the air, as they say. So let us know. And if you listen to the show, please share it with people and maybe like tell us because, we don't know who's out there listening and the data's limited. So we'd love to hear from you. Tell us what works, what doesn't work, and we'll do more of it.
Okay. Well, I think we got to do our patented Product Friday sign off, which is kind of like a bye.
Yeah. Well, it's the only patented part is that we don't know what it is, right? Is it just, do we just
Yeah.
say goodbye? Sometimes
We should do like
I make fun of you and then like I end it right there.
yeah, it's always like yada yada yada, make fun of you. Burp, 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 burp. The
Yeah.
music comes in.
Yeah. Let's move to the next this or that. Do you have it in front of you?
Yes, I do.
Or am
You
I?
should have it in front of you. You should have it in front of you
Well,
because you're throwing to me per the script.